How would you like to disappear?
Disappear?
Go undercover.
You know this man?
Who's here? I'm here. You're here.
These victims are all the same physical type.
What about him, Skip?
Late 20s, 140, 150 pounds. Dark hair, dark eyes.
Have you ever seen him before?
I want to send you out there to see if you can attract this guy.
How, where?
A New York City detective in search of a killer is about to disappear into the night.
Is it dangerous?
I can't talk about it.
How do you know you're going to end up the same person when it's over?
An odyssey to the edge of city life.
Bartenders are starting to give me some information. There's this name keeps popping up all the time. There he is. The one with the hat.
Is that the one that followed you?
Yeah.
Why didn't you go with him?
I don't know. I think you should check him.
If you want to play, I'll play with you.
He's the wrong guy.
Prints don't match.
What he sees
Who's here?
what he feels,
I don't think I can do the job, Captain. I don't think I can handle it.
I'm here.
There's just stuff going down. I don't think I can deal with it.
You're here.
what he experiences, what he discovers will change his life forever. Al Pacino.
Who's here? I'm here. You're here.
Cruising.
You blow it! You blow it! You blow it! You blow it!
Welcome to You Blew It. This is the show where we watch turd sandwiches in HD so you don't have to. Reliving our childhoods one Blu-ray disc at a time. I'm Roden, and sitting across the Family Fun Center from me is one Camaro Kev. What's up, dude?
Not a whole lot. How you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
My allergies are kicking in.
Well, I didn't know you had.
I never have had allergies until I think my 40s, and now they're just full blown.
Is it that cottonwood?
It's
shit?
cottonwood. It's
Is it?
got to be. It's got to be the shit that's just floating around like snow in the air.
Dude.
It's bad.
It's really bad.
Yeah.
And I know
God.
it's like every year it's bad, but
Yeah.
I had a last weekend we did a I guess like a 5K. I didn't do a 5K, but
You watched a 5K.
I watched a 5K because my work was one of the sponsors in it. So
Yeah.
it was last Saturday in Auburn at a park. That shit was everywhere.
It's just coating everything.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
If you
And you don't think you're gonna breathe it in because it's all like enclosed in like that cottony seed. But man, and
it's big. So
yeah, it's
like,
really
you're like,
big.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like the little particles coming off of it or something.
Somehow that shit doesn't affect me.
Really?
So yeah. But
Man.
yeah, and I swear when I got home, Anita was like, "You got something in your hair."
Oh.
It was totally that, because I was like, "Oh yeah, that shit is
yeah.
everywhere." That drives her nuts. By the way, she has allergies on that stuff.
Oh
too.
really?
So, oh yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So
you're not alone.
I'm not the only one. So if I sound a little nasally tonight, that's what's going on. We watched just a real fantastic show.
You
Real
loved it, huh? You liked it.
Amazing.
I thought it's very solid, very unique, and we'll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, we're talking about the second season of Andor.
Mm-hmm. We watched it just all the way through just now.
Yeah. Just kidding. But by the way, everybody should be watching Andor.
I am watching it. I'm
What episode are you?
5 episodes in.
5?
Yeah.
Okay, so We can talk about it.
It's starting to heat up, man.
Yeah,
It's starting to heat up.
I think that's about the
third episode started heating up.
Good Lord,
Yeah.
man. I think about episode 5 is when I had almost a panic attack watching that show because it's just so much going on and just the walls closing in on everybody. It's amazing. It is an amazing piece of television.
Well, cool, dude. Let's talk about
this movie.
of not television, but a movie.
1980, Cruising,
Yeah.
David Fincher.
No.
Oh,
William Friedkin.
Riddle. Same thing.
Sort of, but Fincher's much younger and
Yes.
still alive.
Yeah. William Friedkin. All right. Al Pacino.
Yeah.
Paul Sorvino. Karen Allen.
Allen,
Who else? I mean, there's so many.
Al
fucking
Bundy.
stars. Al Bundy. Ed O'Neill. Fucking-
Ed O'Neill has a little quick piece.
James Remar.
Powers Booth has like
Booth.
like a 10-second cameo.
Henry Judd Baker.
Who's that one?
He's the big black police officer
really?
in a
jock strap.
Lots of jock straps.
Lots of
jock straps in this movie. Holy shit. We've got a William Russ, also known as the father of plays the dad in Boy Meets World.
Yeah, Boy Meets World.
And also the racist police officer dad in American History X.
Yep.
God, man. Burr DeBenning?
I don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is.
Who's
either.
the boyfriend of the dude when he comes in and tries to Pacino tries to fight him, and you're like, oh,
that's James Remar.
That's James Remar.
Yeah, I think that's how you say his name.
I don't know.
It's either James Remar or James Remar. I've always known him as Remar.
I don't know how you got that. You were like, oh, that's that one dude. And
A lot of really young actors that like you kind of go, huh, I know that face from somewhere, right? And then just a shit ton of actors that look like Al Pacino.
Correct.
And it had to be, I mean, the opening scene of this where they come into like this leather bar and there's just dudes fucking licking each other's nipples. And a lot of, like we said earlier, a lot of just naked butts sticking out of jock
naked
straps.
Butts and not a lot of makeup on those butts.
No,
Zits and
weird little tattoos.
Weird tattoos and tufts of hair growing out of cracks and shit like that.
Squirrel tails.
So this movie, I didn't know anything about it.
I didn't know anything about it until tonight.
And
nothing.
One night, late night, I'm watching like Cinemax or something. I'm flipping through. This is back in the day when, you would flip through shit or early on when the menu would come up and you could just like arrow through the menu.
Sure. Okay.
And I think it was like the first time we actually had like satellite or cable. It was late night. I'm like, I'm an adult and I can afford premium television. So I'm arrowing through and I was like, Al Pacino, what's this? And I it's probably like midnight, 1 a.m. I come across this movie. I don't know what part I came into it, but it was pretty early on. It was like early in the movie, but I'd never seen it. I didn't know anything about it, so I was like, I'm going to let this thing run. This is weird. It's an Al Pacino movie I've never heard of. This is okay. And I was fucking mesmerized.
It is really good.
I just zoned out and watched it, and I was like, what the fuck is this? They're going into these leather bars. It all seems gritty and real.
Yeah.
And Pacino, of course, is a cop. He's an undercover detective, and it was just like bizarre. And then by the end of it, I was like,
what happened?
What happened?
Yeah. Like it really leaves you wondering who the
killer is.
Who the killer is. Yeah. I mean, so we're talking about, I mean, it's a thriller, kind of a detective movie, obviously, right?
Yeah.
And
a psychological thriller.
Yes. Yeah. And so there's a serial killer on the loose killing gay men
in New York City.
In New York City,
in
1980.
The underground S&M leather bars. As they
going
say.
home with dudes. They're having sex, right?
What?
They're having sex, right?
Yes.
Like he has sex. The killer has sex with these guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you have any question of that? I mean,
the only time you see and you don't even see it, but the only time that it's alluded that the serial killer actually has sex is in the first kill.
the first killing, yeah. Because
Right?
the other
'Cause the other ones, he just kills them before they even have sex.
yeah, or they're in a park, or they're in a a peep booth and shit like that. Yeah. I guess you're right. I mean, yeah, I guess you're right.
Right.
The other ones they're either beginning or starting to do sexual activities, and then he kills them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a fucking weird movie, and the director, it's the same guy that did French Connection. It's the same guy that did The Exorcist.
Yeah.
And I forget his later work, but those two movies that happened, there was a couple of movies in between those that were in the mid to late 70s, and then this, which came along in 1980. Here's the crazy thing about this. Pacino never talks about this movie.
Why not?
I think he's ignored it and pretends it never happened.
Why?
So
it's fantastic.
This movie was very controversial.
Oh, I'm sure it was when it came out.
When it was being made.
Yeah.
It was being protested the entire time. I read some things. Finally, like the internet comes along, and I start doing some the gay community was thinking that it was going to portray them in a bad light.
In a bad light, yeah.
Because it's 1980, and of course, they're a minority now, but my God, back then it was like...
Oh, yeah.
They were ignored. So they protested the entire time. I guess when they show the streets of New York and they're filming scenes, like a big reason why this movie is so ADR'd is because there was people chanting.
People just chanting and yelling and protesting the whole time that they're filming. Wow, because that makes sense, because really the whole movie is ADR.
Yeah, it's like pretty much dubbed.
Yeah.
Unless you're indoors.
Indoors, maybe.
But especially when they're outside walking around or whatever, it's ADR the whole time. But then there's also this weird thing with the killer's voice. It's a very particular... You notice, like, there's scenes where...
he's whispering.
And
like,
he's
all
whispering,
the time.
And it's like completely ADR'd, but it'll oftentimes be like the person he's going to kill will be recorded sound in the room, but then when he talks, it'll be ADR'd.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty purposeful because, as you picked up on, and I guess this is spoilers. I would say if you've never seen this movie, this is probably the only time I'm ever going to say this during one of these shows.
Stop this show right now and watch it.
Yeah, if anything that we've told you is interesting to you, like Al Pacino, 1980, William Friedkin, all these other people, and this really weird kind of, not plot, but just like, I guess the era and the I don't know, the community that it was filmed in or whatever.
Yeah.
If it's interesting to you, stop it right now, because the whole thing is spoilers. Like it's... this is one of the movies where we would say, like, you should watch this movie if it sounds interesting to you. Just stop it right now.
So now let's... Okay, so we've said that. Now let's talk about how this thing kind of ends up.
Yeah.
Because, like, the killer... Or killers, maybe? Plural?
Yeah. So there's a theory...
Maybe there's two. Maybe it's just one, but it's trickery.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you don't know at the end whether or not fucking Al Pacino is the serial killer.
Yeah.
Right?
And I've had some people explain it to me, or some people, I've seen some theories online where it's the first guy that we see who kills somebody gets killed.
Yeah.
And then that guy gets killed. And so it's a series of the killer being killed in the way that he...
Wait, are we sure that the guy, the first killer that we see, is he the one that gets killed in the woods?
It's running in the background right now, so I guess we'll find out. But I think the brilliant thing about this movie is because it happens in this scene where everyone kind of dresses up in the same, like leather daddy.
They're all wearing the same fucking clothes.
They're all wearing the same clothes because they're going to these clubs where you dress up in a certain way.
Yeah.
And I think he uses that in the movie to where it like tricks you the whole time. You're like, is that the killer?
Well, in one of the
Is
first,
that-
so in the first scene too, like I pointed this out, I was like, I have seen 4 dudes now that look exactly like 1980s Al Pacino.
Yeah.
Like you could, it was hard to tell the difference between some of these background actors,
Yeah. So
these extras, and the actual Al Pacino.
So the movie starts with they find a severed arm floating in, I guess, the Hudson. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
New York. So some police find this arm. They're trying to figure out like where did this come from, and then cut to, like you said, an underground leather bar club, and it just pans through, and this club is filled. And you're right. When they pan through, you're like, oh, is that a young Al Pacino? Nope.
Nope. That's
Oh, is
not
that
it.
a young Al? Nope. There's
Yeah.
like so many guys that look like Al Pacino. And what's funny is when you say that, like 10 minutes later, at the police station, the chief pulls in Al Pacino, the Al Pacino,
Right,
and says,
right.
"Hey, you're a beat cop, but you want your chance to become a detective. Here you go.
Yeah.
There's a guy out there killing gay guys, and they all look like you."
Right.
And so they explain it right away, like the reason why he chooses Al Pacino is because all of the victims look like him. And boy, it's so funny that the way this movie's crafted, you're already thinking that before
Right.
it becomes a part of the plot, which I think is kind of
It's pretty
kinda
genius, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially for a movie made in 1980 too.
Yeah.
Right. Like you don't really expect such a twist.
Yeah, or
You know?
or something so like planned
Well-crafted.
well crafted and planned
Yeah,
out in that way.
yeah.
Now this movie's I think it's flawed in some ways, but because when you get to the end, you're kind of like,
They could have explained it a little bit better.
But then they-
didn't have
it's
to
one of-
leave it so open ended.
it's one of those movies that's like open for interpretation, which
Sure, yeah.
to me sometimes is a little lazy because it's like, we didn't really have to figure it out because we
Yeah.
want you to, constantly try and figure it out, which
Sure.
to me is sometimes kind of lazy, but.
Yeah, you don't need to James Cameron us, and knock us over the head with Avatar.
Right.
But
you also,
you could explain some stuff.
yeah.
Yeah,
For sure.
definitely. There is a scene. It's pretty great. The hitman from Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
That gets
Forget that guy's name.
that gets offed basically because he takes too much of his medication or something. Or he
That's
takes
right, yeah.
rat poison instead of his medication.
Yeah, and I always want
What is his name? Is that Sonny Grosso?
maybe.
Sonny Grosso?
Maybe.
I think so. Or no. I'm
reminds-
sorry, Mike Starr. So he's in a patrol car with
Do you know
his
who
buddy.
do you know who he always confused me? I would confuse him with Danny Aiello. You know Danny Aiello from
the bald guy from NYPD Blue.
No, The Professional. Danny Aiello.
What?
The Professional with Luc Besson and never mind.
Oh God.
Look up Danny Aiello. I was like, you don't know The Professional with what's his name?
I know who you're talking about, but I can't remember his name.
I don't think he's in NYPD Blue, and I don't think he's ever been bald. I mean, he's balding, but I don't think he's bald.
Danny.
I mean, maybe
How do you spell Aiello?
I don't know how to spell it. He's
there
also
he
the
is.
dad in Madonna's video.
Oh
Papa
yeah,
Don't Preach.
that guy. Okay.
So I
remember
always
him,
I always confuse Danny Aiello with the guy.
Oh, you mean the guy from Hudson Hawk?
Sure, yeah. There you go. Never seen it.
Yeah.
Never watched Hudson Hawk.
Oh, really?
No, never.
Jesus Christ, we should watch that.
Okay, yeah. So, go back to what the guy from Dumb and Dumber. He's in.
Yeah. So he's in a patrol car. His patrol with his partner, and they pick up 2 trans men.
Yeah.
And basically give them blowjobs in the car.
Yeah, they're doing like a shakedown. I forget. And here's what's pretty great about this too is
they're basically talking shit about gay people, and then they invite these or make these trans guys get into the car and give them blowjobs.
But they're not talking about gay people at first. The one dude's talking about how his wife left him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's saying.
Oh, I missed that part.
The park. I think it's the pockmarked guy, the dude with the mustache. He's like
that's constantly showing up at gay bars and stuff, and in the park, and
another
just
guy that
trolling.
makes appearances. You're like, that's that cop, dude.
Yeah.
So he's saying like, yeah, that bitch left me, and I'm gonna get her back. And then the other guy's like, oh yeah, you should get her back. And then they're like, what's up with these guys? And they're seeing the trans guys walking down the street, and then they're like, okay, let's fuck with these guys or whatever, right? And so. Yeah. And I don't really, they're just doing it just to do it, right? Like they just want to fuck with them.
I guess.
And the people that are, the trans people, I guess, that are walking are kind of like, you fucking guys again. Like this is a constant thing that happens, right? So they're like, get in the car, whatever.
Yeah. But it turns out that one of the trans prostitutes is like an informant, right, constantly informing the cops at the station, and
the station chief, played by Paul Sorvino, is at some point later on this I don't even know trans necessarily.
Well, they're trans,
but then when he shows up at the station, he's still in high. He's still in high heels, but he doesn't have his wig on and all that stuff. It's like he's gender fluid. Let's put it that way a little bit, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So he shows up and says, "Hey, by the way, you have some cops that are. I gave a blowjob to one of them. They keep fucking with us and stuff." Yeah. And Sorvino's like,
"Get the fuck out of here!
Get the fuck out of here! Don't see him."
Yeah.
Like,
if you don't have
badge number and names, they get up. He's like, they're in the 6th precinct. They hassle us all the time.
Yeah.
And all this stuff. So right there, here's what I find fascinating about this movie too, is like this whole world that the police are reluctant to kind of acknowledge. Right.
Well, that's how that's
of
what
course
was fucking happening.
Back then, of course, and happening still.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And so, but the Sorvino character is interesting in this movie, because he really does want to find the killer.
The killer,
And he really kind of doesn't mind that this world exists that he doesn't understand, right? Because he is a bit sympathetic, not as sympathetic as Al Pacino's character.
Right.
It's odd how this movie could have been played too, in that like putting a detective on this beat where it's basically like, you got to go undercover and pretend you're gay.
Yeah, for all intents purposes, this guy is straight.
Yeah.
Like he has his girlfriend that he's constantly fucking. Yeah. By the way.
Until he can't anymore. because he's questioning his
own sexuality. Played by Karen Allen. Her character's name is Nancy. And
that you would know from Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yes, right.
And
by the way, man, she was gorgeous.
Smoke show, dude.
1980.
Yeah.
Holy smokes. Yeah.
And Raiders came out 3 years later, 83, I think.
She was still beautiful in that movie too.
Yeah.
But so Al Pacino's character Steve is continues to kind of go back to her apartment and have sex with her.
But can't tell her what he's doing.
Right. But you can tell he's like, he's having a crisis of conscience with everything, right? He's starting to really like, every time he walks into one of these clubs, dude, and it's just dudes fucking.
Yeah.
Like
fucking,
everywhere.
Sucking, all sorts of.
By the way, explicit warning. Like things are going to get even more explicit than usual, I think, in this episode. So just so you know that. But but like he's always just kind of standing there and just like taking it all in.
Yeah.
Like there's this one scene where there's just a dude in a bathtub with 3 other dudes like caressing his body in a bathtub while another guy just puts his boot on his chest.
Yeah.
And then that guy is just like caressing the boot.
When they're in the club and the camera pans around,
Yeah.
there is so much going on.
Yes.
Like if you were to go back and watch this, I'm sure there's just like so many, like in the background, like it's sensory overload. There's so much shit
There's
going
so
on.
much going on.
Yeah.
Dudes are so horny.
Yeah.
My God.
It's so
Now we
crazy.
had this conversation a little bit while the movie was playing too. It's like, you know, back in my 20s, I would have killed for like some sort of like straight club like this.
Yeah, right.
You know, like why aren't women into this kind of stuff too? You know, it always seems like it's just a gay men's thing where everybody's just so fucking horny.
Yeah.
You know, it's like why couldn't things be that easy for straight couples?
Because
straight
dudes
people.
are fucking dirt bags.
Well, this is the conclusion that we came to is that dudes are dirt bags.
Yeah.
And they're rapey and they're assholes and they're domineering and everything you know, under the sun, and that's why that doesn't happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Andrew Tates of the world, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
You fucked all of this up for everybody.
Yeah.
There could have been straight clubs like this, but you guys exist.
There is yes.
Fucking assholes.
It's weird to think about, man. It's
Yeah.
okay, so where were we at?
I don't know.
I
Who
don't know
cares? Like we already told everybody the ending, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, pretty much.
There's another club, like the best scenes in this movie too are the clubs. The shit that's going on in these clubs.
I don't know. I mean, there is some interesting sort of like where he meets his captain and they have kind of dialogue. They try to find places where, you know, like one's like a real seedy bar. The other one's kind of a weird subway where they're going up an escalator. And it's cool to see. There's a lot of hanging around, I think, Columbia University. Because a lot of at least a couple of the...
one of the suspects
is
a student.
Yeah.
It's because that professor was murdered.
Yeah.
Right?
So
like,
they were trying to figure out, like,
victims.
you know, was it one of his students and that sort of thing?
Oh, can we go back to the first body when they find the first body really quick?
Sure, why not?
So they find the body of the first like murder that we witness as the viewer, and Paul Sorvino's character is like in the morgue,
yeah,
right, looking at this body, and he's just like, he is just, you know, he's covering his nose, he's like almost throwing up, it seems like he's having trouble looking at this body.
Yeah,
but all there is like 5 stab wounds in this guy's back.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there were some bad smells in the room.
Maybe
something.
It was like it took them a long time to find it or something like that. Like they don't say in the movie how long the body's been there.
Yeah,
I guess they keep on talking about people with air conditioning, so maybe it was during the summer.
Yeah, they do talk about that quite a bit. Like everything, it's like a really hot summer in New York, and
I just thought it was kind of weird because like you gotta take into account that captain being in New York City in the 1980s has seen some serious shit.
Yeah.
And seeing just a body with 5 stab wounds in the back, like, probably wouldn't turn your stomach at that point.
You wouldn't think
in
so,
your
no.
career. Yeah. Yeah.
No.
There's a point.
We're watching this movie.
You're getting,
I know, the movie's
back
running
into
in the
it.
background. And...
You're getting back into it. There's a point in the movie where, like, Al Pacino's character is kind of, it's still just kind of starting, you know? And he's just starting to get into, like, going to the clubs and trying to make himself kind of, you know,
blend
a part of it
yeah,
and blend
not
in.
to stand out.
So
right?
he goes to this corner store, and he's the shop owner is selling these handkerchiefs.
Who is Powers Booth?
Powers Booth.
Yeah.
Yep. And and so and shop owner says, hey, you know what those mean, right? And so he starts giving him like kind of a rundown of like what each color of handkerchief means and what it means to have it in your back pocket or your front pocket or whatever.
or your left side back pocket or your right side back pocket.
And he tells him that the yellow one is people who are into like, you know, being drenched in piss. And so he goes, the next scene is at another club and he's got a fucking yellow handkerchief. Like, wouldn't you just stay away? If you were like a straight guy, you know, wouldn't you try to steer clear from like the water works or wet works, whatever they call it?
Well, I don't know, because to think about it, like of the things to do, if you put the handkerchief in saying you like to give them, you wouldn't have to do a whole lot other than to piss on somebody.
Just to pee on somebody?
So that's why I always figured out that's why he probably chose that, I think. Because because the other one is just like, you give blowjobs, you receive blowjobs. You do this, you do that. You piss on somebody you like to get pissed on, and it's like, what's all that shit?
What's the one I'm most comfortable with?
Yeah,
I'd pee on somebody, I guess.
So if I'm outside pissing, I'm pissing on the ground, I might as well piss on some dude. I don't know.
And if he's into it, I mean, all the better. That's fine. Yeah.
Because
I'm okay
I'm
with peeing on
advertising, he's come like, I like to get pissed on. Okay, cool. Let's go. I don't know. I do love
But then the guy like walks up. There's a dude at that club that like has like a yellow handkerchief around his neck.
Yeah.
And he walks up to him and he's like, what's he say to him?
He says,
you into waterworks?
Oh yeah, you're into water sports.
Water sports. Yeah. That's right. Water sports. And
Pacino goes, I just like to watch.
No, I just like to watch. And he goes, well, then take that fucking thing out of your pocket, you asshole. He's just so mad. He's so fucking mad.
Everyone gets so mad in this movie about him not following the rules in the club. Because one of the nights he comes into a club and everyone's dressed like cops.
Yeah.
And they're all like, and so he's not. And he's like standing kind of watching everything.
There is a dude in that scene that is just blowing a cop baton.
Oh, going to work on
just
deep throating it.
Working it. Yeah. But he gets kicked out of that club because
like the doormen come over and go like, like, hey, if you're not what do they? I forget how they put it. They're like, if you're not,
what did he say? He basically said your vibe is off.
Yeah. But he was like, if you don't have a badge on or you don't have this, and get the fuck out of here.
This is you and I disagree on this scene because I thought it was more of like he was like because he asked him, do you have a gun or a knife? You remember?
Yeah. Okay. So here we go. Wait, hold on a second because this is playing in the background. So this guy here.
Yeah.
Is the guy that just killed that other dude.
That's what I thought too.
Right? And he ends up getting killed here.
Right.
So this is the theory that is like...
Is it though? Is it him?
It's him. It's him.
Because he doesn't have the sunglasses on. Like
And that's the whole thing. Is this whole thing is about,
his teeth look the same.
But he doesn't have the voice now, and then the guy he's talking to has the ADR'd voice, and they go off, and then that dude kills him. So it's the theory that I've seen is like the guy who does the killing then gets killed, and then that person is the killer, and then that person gets killed all the way into the end until it's Pacino.
Wow.
I don't know. It's just some weird theory. But I mean, it's not weird, but it's like,
that looks like that Stewart guy, the Columbia student,
right? So if he kills this guy who killed the first, right? Because I mean, although we still have another murder that happens in the in the little peep booth or whatever, So
which would make sense. Well, I don't know.
I don't know either.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Now I'm even more confused. But let's get back to the cop bar. The cop scene.
Yeah.
So Al Pacino's character Steve, he walks in, right, and he is just like he is in awe.
Yeah.
Right. And you like at this point too in the movie, when he walks into this club, Like, I think he's been doing it for like a month.
Yeah, it does seem like some time has passed.
Yeah, it's like, dude, you should not be like, especially if you're acting like you belong in the scene, quit acting so fucking surprised.
I don't know. Is this maybe the second time? I think the whole point of it is like he still doesn't know quite the rules. Like,
yeah,
like
maybe
when he shows up, and even like as a viewer, you're going like, this is kind of weird. Everyone is dressed like a cop, and I think it's just kind of showing that he's playing it fast and loose and isn't really paying attention and doesn't realize that like, oh, they're serious about these rules. Like if there's a theme night, then you better fucking
yeah. But see, I took that as him getting kicked out of that club. I think, to me, it seemed like the person that comes up to say, hey, do you have a gun or a knife? Is
That's
like,
right, yeah.
You're an actual cop, right? Because your vibe is fucking off. That's basically what he says.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't.
He's
think
like, you need to get out of here, basically, and he gets kicked out. And that's
I
when
think it was just because he wasn't participating. But you know, I mean, we can.
But that's when he sees
agree
this
to disagree.
Stewart character. I think, right? Oh no. This is the Skip, maybe.
Oh yeah, Skip.
Is it Skip or something?
Yeah,
that works
Skip's
at the
a guy
restaurant?
who's basically he comes up to him and says, "Hey, let's let's bone or whatever.
Let's romp."
And he says, "Not tonight."
Yeah. But then Skip becomes suspect because he works at a steakhouse, and the knife that's been used to murder
But wasn't it
the
also
first one that we see is a steak knife.
Was he not the student?
No, that was not the student. Stewart is the student.
So, refresh.
Skip is the first suspect.
But why does Pacino think that?
I don't know.
Skip?
He doesn't give a reason.
He doesn't give a reason.
I think it's because he works at a steakhouse or something.
But
but that's the trans person gives the other detective the information that
that's
Skip
right.
works at.
Yeah, sorry. So Pacino says, "I don't know. There's this guy Skip."
He keeps on trying to come on to me and stuff.
then
I see him at a lot of the clubs.
The detective's like, "Why didn't you go with him?" And he's like, "I don't know. I
chickened out. Yeah.
And so that's right. Then they take his picture to the informant.
Right.
And the informant's like, "Yeah, I know that guy. His name's Skip.
Yeah.
And he works at the steakhouse."
Right.
And then
so two detectives go to the steakhouse.
One
they
being
notice
Al
all the
Bundy.
knives. Yes.
One being
young
Al Bundy.
when a very young Ed O'Neill shows up, and it's like, holy shit! We had to rewind it at that point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Al Pacino's character has moved into an apartment in wherever, and
Village. In the village.
In the village?
Yeah, I don't know.
West
New York.
Village or something
Whatever
like
it is.
that.
Yeah, like he's in the village. I know he says at some point. Because he
meets
says that
one
to
of his
that one guy
neighbors.
that he picks up and he goes, "I don't have AC. We can't go to my house."
Yeah.
He's like, "Well, can't go to mine because," or he goes, "I'm in the village. We can go to mine." And the guy's like, "That's too far." So that's the only reason why I know he's in the village. So
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But he's befriending this other guy. What's that character's name? Do you
I think
remember?
his name's like
Redheaded guy?
he has it Tony or something like that. I can't
Maybe.
remember.
Sure.
He's his next door neighbor who's in a relationship with another guy who's off. They're all like most of the characters in here are art students in some fashion,
Right.
doing
Yeah.
theater or they're writing books or they're whatever. And so
Because that shit is so gay.
it's so gay, especially in 1980. It's way
Yes.
gay. And this guy's partner / roommate is off doing his important art,
yeah.
and he makes fun of his roommate who's not doing such important art, even though he's writing a play.
Right.
And the thing that's funny about this is
He's miffed because he has to get a job.
he's miffed because he has to get a job, but
His
like what's-
partner's been paying his fucking way
Yeah.
forever, and now he's miffed that he has to get a fucking job. And he says at one point, "I hate Mondays."
He does, yeah. Here's what I find funny about this is the first thing when Pacino goes undercover, the first person he meets is this guy who's his neighbor.
Right.
And he's throwing away gay magazines
Yes.
that are that are in his apartment.
A huge stack of
a
them.
huge stack that
Yeah.
he finds in the closet.
Right.
And as he's throwing them out, this guy was like, "Oh, hey, did you just move in or whatever?"
Are you going to say what I think you're going to say?
What?
He's putting individual magazines into the trash.
that was a
He's
whole
putting
weird
it
thing.
into
He's
the
like,
trash one
at
at a time.
or 3 at a time. He's got this whole stack. He doesn't just go wham in the garbage.
Yeah.
He's like gingerly placing them. No, what I was going to say was the actual relationship that he has with this neighbor.
Yeah.
You can tell that Steve really ends up caring about him.
Right.
It's not just a put on, like, oh, I don't want to, because like they go out and the conversations they have, he's pretty supportive. Like
Yeah.
when he's saying like,
Yeah.
oh, my, and so I think at the end of the movie, I don't think that that Pacino is the killer from the beginning.
Yeah.
But I do think he ends up caring about his neighbor. And I can't figure out if he killed the both of them, but I think Pacino kills either the both of them or one of them.
So I think that he killed both of them.
Okay.
Because that you said his name was Tony. Tony ends up stabbed to death.
Yeah, they find
at
him
the end of the movie.
after they think they've found the killer.
After they think they've found the killer, yeah. And I think Paul Sorvino's character, the head detective, like comes to the realization is like, oh shit, because this is like right down the hall from,
Yeah, who are the
Steve,
neighbors?
right?
Who are the neighbors? Well, there's one.
Which is weird too, because wouldn't he know where he was staying?
Who?
Because he acts surprised when he like, wait, say that name again?
Yeah.
Because, he asked who the neighbors were, and one was the undercover name, right?
Oh, you're saying
John Beard or whatever
yeah,
it was, right? And he's like, wait, say that name again? And it said John Beard. And he's like, and you could see the look on his face. He's like, wait a minute, that's fucking Steve.
Yeah. I think it was more about he probably wasn't paying attention to the address that they were going to.
Oh, maybe.
And then
Okay.
when he says the name, he's like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah.
Like, the surprise on his face is like, that
this
was
is
my guy."
The
Steve.
reason that I think Al Pacino killed both of them, Greg and Tony. Greg was Tony's partner,
yeah,
played by James Remar. But I think that the end shot of the movie, the last shot of the movie, is back in the harbor on another tugboat. Mm-hmm. Remember, the first scene in the movie was on a tugboat.
Yep.
They find a severed arm.
yep,
So I was waiting for that tugboat to find Greg's like torso with his green fucking underwear on that we saw him in
Right.
earlier when he and Al Pacino got in a fight, because he came over looking for Tony and they started fighting because Greg thought he was cheating. With,
yeah. Like, oh, you're the new guy in the
yeah.
in the same room where my partner's infatuated with
Yeah,
whoever's living in this apartment next door.
Right. Yeah.
That's
So
right,
I think-
because
I
they
think-
don't know where Greg is, right? Because
Yeah,
they
but
say,
we never
like,
saw that. Like there wasn't
Yeah.
any. It just ended with the tugboat like going through the harbor.
Interesting.
And so I was thinking like, oh my God, they're gonna find Greg's body floating, but that didn't happen. So
I am a little confused. I mean, again, this is all just theories because the way the movie ends and stuff, we don't know if Pacino actually killed either one of these.
yeah, but you see him turning, right? Like he's back at Nancy's apartment.
Yep.
Right, and he's shaving. He kind of nicks himself, and then he's just kind of staring into the mirror.
Yeah.
Right.
I can't tell if he's staring at her wearing his leather daddy gear because she comes into the apartment and he's like, "I'm back for good," basically
Yeah,
saying like,
yeah.
"This case that I'm on is over." And then
I'll tell you, he's got to tell her something.
Yeah, he's like, "I'll tell you all about it. Let me finish up here." And he's shaving.
Yeah.
And then she goes out in the living room and finds his leather daddy outfit.
Yeah.
With like the mirrored sunglasses.
But she finds those mirror sunglasses. That was like something that the killer wore.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And Pacino never wore them or had them
Yeah.
the entire movie until
You don't
now.
see him with them.
Yeah. And she puts it all on and she's looking in the mirror at herself. But then you see Pacino. I can't tell if he's looking at the mirror and her wearing the gear.
No, you couldn't see it through that.
Yeah,
angle.
it was
She
a weird kind of. That's true. The way
she was around the corner.
Yeah,
but
he is like pondering. He's looking off and like like pondering.
Yeah. It's fucking impossible to figure out, dude.
I know.
Yeah.
It's
there is a scene. I wanted to talk about another one of these club scenes where I can't. It wasn't at the. No, it was the one he like takes this handkerchief from this other guy that's like soaked in something, and they're just huffing
that's
it.
right. Yeah,
and he is dancing so weirdly.
Yeah,
like so weird.
He's tripping balls and just. First of all, the music in this movie is weird too. We didn't talk about.
I thought it was actually pretty good.
It's good,
like kind of rockabilly, punk rock.
Yeah,
kind of shit going on constantly.
It's like the genre you can't place it. It's kind of punk rock. It's kind of rockabilly.
Yeah.
It's
Springsteen-esque.
It's not danceable, yet there's all these guys dancing to it.
Right.
But it's not really dancing. It's like and like you're saying with this scene where they're huffing shit out of a rag.
Yeah.
And Pacino's character Steve is just going buck wild.
Yeah. It would make a great GIF.
It's got to be a GIF out there somewhere.
Yeah.
It has to be. It's
But so he's noticing all this shit going on around him, and there's a dude that's strapped to one of these like sex crosses.
Yeah.
You know? And like his fucking ankles are up in the air, and there's a dude just fucking lathering up with some sort of like lard or really thick lotion.
Yeah.
And fucking like his fist and his forearm just getting ready to fucking just go straight in. And like they keep on panning back to this where this guy is just fisting this dude's butthole.
Yeah.
And like, it is unreal.
Yeah, it is unreal.
It is unreal.
No,
like,
in fact,
they don't show it, but there's enough like just really intense looks on men's faces, on sweaty men's faces, that it's like, you know what's going on.
So you say it's unreal, but the fact of the matter is, the rumor is, it is very real. So
that scene,
yes,
where somebody was getting fisted during the shooting.
Here's the rumors of this shoot, and there's
no way.
and he's the director.
They're not doing that.
You can look it up. The director says he went to these gay bars that were in San Francisco.
I believe this. I believe this part.
And they invited anyone who would normally go there and just do what you do, and I'm going to film it. And they had to sign all their waivers and all that stuff. Friedkin, the original cut of this movie, has so much real gay sex in it that he did it on purpose when he had some feud going on with the ratings board, and
I'm sure he did.
He wanted them to have to watch all this shit to tell him to take it out.
Yeah.
And so the theory is, or the rumors are, and he's never denied it, and all of this footage is lost. And I believe James Franco and somebody did a movie about shooting this movie.
Really?
And when they started making that, then I think Franco got canceled. And I don't know if this movie ever came out, but it was about the lost footage of this movie.
Really?
So there's all this weird shit about just the making of this movie. And but yeah, apparently there was tons of real sex and fisting and all this crazy shit that was going on in these clubs that he actually shot.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's why when you see this stuff going on in this movie, when you get into these scenes, you're like, this seems pretty real.
Yeah.
Because it was real.
For I will say, for background actors and extras and stuff, people looked like they were having a great time.
Yeah.
They were really enjoying shit.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. To each their own, but man, so I don't understand how that could be pleasurable. having a whole fist up there.
I don't even know how it's possible. Beyond pleasurable. I don't even know how it's possible.
Yeah.
So the other thing when I was
fucking burst one of my hemorrhoids, man. That hurt
at
so
the
bad.
least, man. Perforated colons and whatnot.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Oh shit! We're to the scene. Here it is.
It's happening before
It's
our
happening right now.
So the other thing with this movie, I was saying it was being protested while it was being made.
Right.
And when it came out, it kind of came and went. There was a lot of like, the movie's interesting, but like it kind of doesn't go anywhere and it doesn't really wrap up and it's ambiguous and you got to kind of, it's like, whatever. It kind of came and went.
Which is part of why I like it so
But
much.
as
too.
the years have gone on, and even I believe the gay community has accepted it because what they were afraid of was that it was like they're portraying that we're all this way. Yeah. But they make it very clear in the beginning of the movie. He's saying this is
a very, very, specific niche.
A specific niche of this community. Right. And so through the years, it's become this kind of cult thing because it has captured this scene that was happening at that time in a mainstream way that there's nothing else that has captured it like this. So and so now it's become this kind of cult classic, it's such an oddity. And I don't remember if I mentioned this before we start. I think we were talking about before it was recorded, or maybe right at the beginning, how Pacino's never really talked about it or acknowledges it anymore. Yeah. And I don't think
Which is crazy to me because didn't like Dog Day Afternoon, he played a gay man in that,
he was paying for his, it wasn't like he was robbing the bank to help
help his partner
transition or get a surgery or something like that, which is, I don't know. Maybe it was because...
And that's a celebrated movie.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's because of the controversy around this that he just was
maybe the way it was what you were just talking about too.
Yeah.
Did you ever see a movie called Short Bus?
No.
So Mairead and I went and saw this movie called Short Bus at what was it? The Guild the Guild.
Is that the
one?
Remember
that theater? That
burnt
old theater?
down?
Did it burn down? I can't
remember.
No.
I thought it didn't. It closed. Guild 45th,
Yeah, I think it was Guild 45th.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was the Neptune before it was even... What's that other theater down there? That Landmark Theater. Was it called the Landmark?
I don't think there is any theaters over there
anyway,
anymore.
We went
to the Neptune or the 45th.
It was part of like the SIFF Film Festival long time ago. There's this movie called not The Short Bus, but Short Bus. And part of the thing in that movie was that they filmed it with real sex scenes like in it. Like the actors were having sex and or masturbating and like they showed real orgasms. Basically.
Was there any actors that you would know in it?
No, it was all kind of indie. It was indie stuff, and it was actually a really good movie. But it was the most awkward like movie going experience I've ever had, and I'm sure Mairead would agree if she remembers it as well.
You guys didn't just go home and fuck like crazy afterwards?
Oh, we did, but like but we were in the theater. We were like the only couple that was in the theater. Mairead was the only woman.
Oh no!
And there were just two other dudes, like 2 or 3 other dudes in the whole theater that were just sitting alone. And it was like, oh, this is fucking like I was just waiting for one of the dudes to like to see his shadow kind of shake around.
Oh God!
Like,
oh God!
It got touching himself, you know.
Shit.
I don't know. It was very weird. It was very weird. But yeah, everybody go see Short Bus.
We should probably wrap this up.
We should.
At the very least. So at the end, what happens is, as we said before, they think that it's a student of a teacher who was killed, and Steve focuses on this one
that he sees at these clubs constantly, and that is always eyeballing him.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So
this guy,
he ends
Stuart.
up like tailing him, watching him. He breaks into his apartment. he finds these like
Letters
hundreds of letters
with no return address.
with no return address that are like, and it's all this like
John Smith or it's all
but
made out to like
the
John
letters
Smith.
he opens up and reads, and a couple of them they show, and it's clearly to his father. He's saying, "Hey, Dad, you know this, that, and the other thing," right? And so he ends up hanging around watching this guy, and the guy eventually is on to him, right?
Yeah.
And I think Steve did it in a way where he was like, "Hey, I'm
onto you.
going to be brazen, and I want this guy to notice that I'm on to him, right?" And
And that's the weird part about it too, that kind of like makes you think that maybe Steve is the killer.
Yeah.
Because he's just standing outside, just fucking staring at him through his window.
Until this guy finally figures out, okay, this dude is...
Oh, he got into my letters.
He's got into my letters.
And so he takes out his boots, and he always had the killer always had his knife in the boot.
Yeah.
Right? But you've seen the knife. We've all seen the knife.
It's a steak knife.
It's a steak knife. And when Stewart pulls his knife out of his boot, it's a different knife.
Different knife. It's still like the same size, but it's clearly not a steak knife. Right?
And then you see another scene where Stewart is like talking to his dead father on a bench.
Yeah.
He's hallucinating that his father is there.
Do you
And
think
his
he's
father
hallucinating, or
says,
do you think it's a memory that he had of his father?
Oh, I think he's hallucinating.
Okay.
Because his father says, you know what you have to do.
That's right, yeah.
Right? And then there's a couple of flashbacks where you see the first murder again, and then you see the murder in the woods.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Where it's like, I think Stewart murders the murderer. Right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's like, that's the theory.
It's so fucking okay.
It's wild.
And then so yeah. So and Al Pacino's character, Steve, never goes back to his superiors and tells him that he has a suspect.
Yeah. This guy that you think it is that I've been following.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's the dude. No, he keeps it to himself.
Right. And then he confronts him outside on one night on a park bench. And they're like, hey, you know, let's do it. Go fuck.
Let's
or
go
something.
fuck. Yeah. And this is the whole thing where he's like, let's go to your place. And he's like, yeah, we can't go to my place.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, let's go to mine. He's like, what was yours? In the village. Yeah, it's too far. Let's just go down to this tunnel. Yeah. And he's like, I don't like doing that in public. And he's like, there's no one here.
Yeah.
You'll be fine, sweetheart. Or Dorothy, I think is what he calls her.
Dorothy, yeah. And so they go down to this little place under the walking bridge. And then Al Pacino, Steve takes his pants off. They're both wearing the exact same outfit. Exact same outfit.
Yeah.
Except for the hat. But Al Pacino takes his hat
and puts it on.
And he's wearing his hat. And so, and then they both go to stab each other, and Al Pacino wins, fucking stabs him in the gut. Cut to hospital bed.
Yeah.
And
Dude's
Stewart's
still
in the
alive.
hospital.
Yeah.
And Paul Sorvino's character comes up to him and is like, hey, we've got your fucking fingerprint on this other murder that happened in the Peep Show.
Yeah. It was on a quarter that was
We didn't
put in
really
the
talk
machine.
about that one.
No.
But doesn't really matter.
No.
But we want you to, if you don't confess, you're looking at, we're going to indict you.
We got you because of the fingerprints.
Right.
You're going to get
20 years to life.
For all of these murders.
You confess. This is the part that just enrages me.
Yeah, right.
Because you know that this kind of shit happens all the time just so you can close a case. But they fucking, he's like, you confess to these 8 other murders. 8 other murders.
I don't think it was
and you
8.
it was something like that,
Was
dude.
it
It was
8?
a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
Because there were more that happened that they, like, before the movie started,
That's
right?
true. Yep.
And so they're trying to pin all these other ones on him. And if you confess to all this, you're looking at 8 years.
If you confess, it's like not even 10 years.
What?
Yeah. And the
8 years?
dude says, go and fuck yourself.
For fucking serial killing.
He's like, I didn't do it. Go
I
and
didn't
fuck
do
yourself
it.
or whatever, right?
Right.
The other thing, let's go back a little bit because it's happening on the screen now.
Yeah.
So that's how it wraps up. And then we already talked about how he ends up going back to his girlfriend's house, and then the whole thing plays out where he's shaving and all that shit. We already talked about that.
Yeah.
But the kid that works at the steakhouse,
Yeah, Skip or something like
Skip.
that. I think it's Skip.
So when they originally think it's him, because he works at the steakhouse and the steak knife match, the steak knives there match some of the victims that were stabbed. Steve ends up going and picking the guy up and taking him to a hotel.
Right.
And
he's wearing a wire.
He's wearing a wire, and the wire fails, so they storm in and they find Al Pacino, Steve, tied up like the first victim in the movie.
That's true, but they hear certain things, like Al Pacino is telling him to tie him up.
Yes, yeah.
And he's like, tie you up? I'm not really into that.
Yeah.
Like, you can hear that
you can hear that, yeah.
You know, the first parts of it.
Yeah.
And then
it starts getting all...
And then it goes out,
Gets all, like...
but they storm in, they take him,
and they're afraid that like shit. Yeah,
we do need to talk about this because
that's why I'm bringing it up.
Yes, thank you. I totally forgot about this, but they end up at the back of the station, right? They're playing it off like Steve is involved and shit like that. So
when they bust in early, nothing's happening.
Yeah,
he's not trying to kill him.
No,
he's just tied up, and they're like, "What's going on here?" and all this stuff. And so then
Skip is obviously not the killer.
Yeah, totally not the killer.
Or a killer
or
at
a killer,
all,
yeah.
Right? But then, so they're interrogating him, and then
both of them, because they don't want to break Steve's cover, right?
Yeah,
they're interrogating the both.
They
of them.
bring in this fucking like 7-foot black dude wearing nothing but cowboy boots, a cowboy hat, and a fucking brown jockstrap. And he comes in, the first thing he does is just fucking slaps Steve across the face. Knocks him to the fucking floor.
And Steve's like, what the hell is this? He's like, what is going on?
And all you see, he comes back in at one point and fucking backhands Skip.
Yeah.
And you just see his like big black butt.
Yeah.
Like, it's
so bizarre, man.
It's so weird.
And there's all these detectives.
Understand what is happening in
all
this
these
scene.
detectives are sitting around watching it, kind of like, yep, that's what happens.
And then
like,
Ed O'Neill's character says, take your pants down.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And we're gonna stick your balls in that sink over there, and if your balls float, then you're not the killer.
Yeah. Because this is one of the things that we left out, that there was semen found.
Oh, that's right.
In one of the murder victims, but there was no sperm. And so they say, like, the guy who's doing this is shooting blanks.
You know what I just remembered?
What?
They said when they found the coin in the Peep Show, where they found the fingerprint.
Yeah.
But the fingerprint didn't match the other one that they found on another murder.
Oh, really? I don't remember that part.
Yeah.
I do
so
know
that supports the theory that there are multiple murderers.
Yeah, maybe.
Like it's just like
I mean,
jumping.
again, this is like you can.
This is the prequel to Devil's Advocate.
Can't figure any of this out.
This is the prequel to Devil's Advocate. Al Pacino.
Well, what gets this guy Skip off is the fact that his fingerprints don't match. And
right.
so, and again, this shows you that like Steve is a pretty caring dude, because after this all goes down, he's talking to Paul Sorvino and he's like, hey, this dude, this poor kid didn't do this.
Yeah.
And you
were just
fucked him over. Like,
yeah.
You beat the shit out of him and like, you know, what the hell, man?
Right.
And he was basically like, well, more
welcome.
or less.
He goes, welcome to the detective.
Yeah, that's right. Welcome to the detective world. Yeah.
This movie is really good. I thought it was great. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I love how open-ended it is. I love how it's making us think about it. And I think it was really well fucking done. And just to see like all these like super famous actors, like so young, is great. I
agree. And it's one of these weird movies that, like you said, up until tonight, you'd never heard about, and up until the night that I found it on Cinemax late night, I didn't know what the fuck it was.
Yeah,
and it deserves being acknowledged as like a unique piece of art. It's like,
I really enjoyed it. So thank you for bringing this one to everybody's attention.
All right. Blu It time.
Yeah. Oh, I get a full 5. Full 5. I mean,
I'll go with it.
It looks great too.
It does
like
look
on Blu-ray,
great.
It looks really good.
Yeah.
It's not super grainy. It might be a little grainy
really
in
crisp
the night
and clear
scenes, but it just looks super great. It's super good.
Yeah. And, Friedkin, man, like he's one of these directors that, other than like Exorcist and The French Connection, who is very, part of that 70s group of directors. Then later on, can you think of anything signature wise by this guy in the 90s and in the 2000s and all this stuff?
Not at all.
And it's just,
I can't.
When you watch something like this, I think to myself, I should probably go back and see what other stuff this guy did, because I bet you, even if it was never that popular, it's probably pretty interesting, right?
Yeah, totally. I will say the one last thing I want to get out there is that the grossest thing, not the fisting, not the sucking on batons, nothing like that, but the grossest fucking thing in this movie is Nancy's floor.
It's a pretty cool layout, though, for a
great loft apartment
in New York.
Jesus Christ, this floor!
Do something with the floor.
Holy shit, dude!
Jesus
I like
Christ.
to walk around in my socks. Like sometimes I'll go barefoot, but that fucking floor looks like you might get tetanus from it.
Yeah,
it's so nasty. It's so nasty. And there is one scene where like they kind of have a fight, her and Steve.
Yeah,
and he like takes this like orange juice bottle.
I was taking a piss during this, so I don't.
He takes this orange juice bottle out of the refrigerator and he's just kind of drinking it out of the bottle. But all the while that he's like standing around and like walking with this bottle, he's spilling orange juice all over the floor.
That's why the floor is that way.
They're just like, nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nancy doesn't even care. Like, what? You spilling fucking orange juice all over my floor? No, nobody cares.
No.
This is a fucking shoes on house. Shoes on. All right. That's all I got.
All right. What? No dialogue.
I don't have any dialogue, dude. Just close your eyes and picture a dude lathering up. Lathering up his forearm.
I know the dialogue.
Oh,
I know
okay.
what it is, because he does say this a couple times. I think you missed it a little bit. The killer says, "You made me do this."
Oh. Cut. Print.
You made me do that.